The question in this episode comes from Frank in Dronten, the Netherlands. And I hope I've got that pronounced right, Frank. His question is, when a demon talks to the person, are they conscious of what is happening? Well, Frank, there are essentially two basic states of consciousness when a person is going through an exorcism. And if you watch our YouTube channel, you will see there demonstrated both of these conditions. One is what I call the state of oblivion. The person doesn't know what's happening. I actually had an individual one time come to one of our seminars, having been brought there by another friend. When the exorcism was completed, the person came to, looked at me and said, "Who are you? Where am I?" The last thing they remember was being picked up in the automobile and on the way to our seminar. From that point on, the demons took over. They were out. They sat through the entire seminar, went through the entire exorcism, and it wasn't until the demons were expelled that they came back to consciousness. Now, that is very rare. Doesn't happen often. In most cases, in fact, people have what we call co-consciousness, simultaneous awareness. But here's how they describe it to me. They say, it's if I'm in the background watching what is happening. I can't control it, I can't stop it, but I am aware of it. Some have said to me, it's like sitting in the back seat and watching the devil drive and you're in the passenger seat telling him what to do. Or others have said, it's like sitting in a theater watching a movie, only I am the movie. Now, we also need to be aware that there are at least 5 or more potential states of consciousness that a person can have when they're going through an exorcism. And I can't describe all of these in detail now, but I can assure you that we have material that you can study that will explain all of this, particularly our International School of Exorcism, which goes into all of this at great length and will educate you about it. I would encourage you to enroll today. And then our books, especially some of our more recent books. Our book on Jezebel, our book on curse breaking, the book Demon Proofing Prayers, and our book of spiritual warfare. All deal with various aspects of these states of consciousness. Now, one obviously is the individual who's going through the exorcism, their consciousness. Secondly, the demon. So when the demon comes forward, they may or may not go into a state of oblivion. Even if they are aware, it's usually a bit murky. They get some of it, but don't get some of it. But I had them describe it to me as being in a kind of a fog. Now, a third state of consciousness is dissociation, an actual multiple alter ego state, another alter personality that takes over and talks for the person. And then, as we've described in our books and in the School of Exorcism, there's what we call ancestral generational dissociation, which is a personality from the past genetically encoded but accessed in the present, and a dissociated soul transference, which is a living individual as opposed to an ancestral memory from the past. And this living individual in the present is willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, projecting their consciousness as a kind of mind control into the person in the present. And witch doctors and black magicians and people deeply involved in the more sinister aspects of witchcraft and the occult actually know how to actively do this. Sometimes it just happens spontaneously through a very powerful soul bond or soul tie. So you see, you've raised a question, sir, that is maybe more complex than it appears on the surface. And in ministering healing and deliverance to someone, we need to be aware of all these potential states of consciousness We need to be aware of when it's the person and when it's the demon. And by the way, demons will try to trick you. Sometimes the demon is there and they try to make you think it's the person's consciousness, or the demon isn't there and that person's consciousness is forward, and you can get yourself in the situation of yelling at a demon and telling it to go to the pit and traumatizing the person. Demons are very clever about how they move back and forth in these realms. So we need to be led by the Spirit. We need the knowledge and the information to understand how all of this works. Satan is, over the last several thousand years, since Jesus brought the reality of freedom from demons, the devil has been hard at work to develop counter strategies to come against the work of God and deliverance ministries. So what we do in our International School of Exorcism and in our books is to educate those who are willing to step forward into deliverance to understand the various states of consciousness they may encounter on the process of seeing people set free. The most frequent demon that I deal with is the spirit of Jezebel, the most prevalent evil spirit of our age. This demon wants to destroy your health, your finances, your marriage, your family, and your church. Learn the tactics of Jezebel throughout history and in the time in which we live. My book, Jezebel, Defeating Your Number One Spiritual Enemy, is your key to overcoming this demon, which is more prevalent than at any time in human history. Get your copy today. Jezebel, Defeating Your Number One Spiritual Enemy.
He took the curses away from me. Was he Bob Larson? Because he can help you.
If your life isn't all that it should be, if relationships aren't working, if your health, your finances, or your spiritual life are unhappy, schedule a personal one-on-one encounter with me. We'll get to the root of the issues that are holding you back. We'll give you answers and a whole new direction in life.
Oh, what a change, what a difference when you have an encounter with God.
Take action. I look forward to seeing you soon.
We encourage your support for this worldwide outreach to do what Jesus did. For the latest information on resources, seminars, conferences, training institutes, retreats, and international missions, go to boblarson.org. Thank you for your prayers and financial partnership.